Hello and welcome along to another video. Today we're going to be going through 10 ways in which you can become an event manager. I'm Mark Norman. I've been an event planner for nearly 25 years. I've been an event management tutor at university. I'm ready to share with you those secrets so you know exactly what you're getting into in the events management industry. It's a tough business, make no mistake about it. You've got to have your wits about you, you've got to be determined, and you need these 10 skills in order to be successful. And this list comes from my background and my knowledge, things that I've picked up over the years, and I kind of wish I knew when I started. But I'm here to share them with you today, hopefully that you can make an informed decision about if it's an industry that really suit you. Number one is that you've got to love events. Now, this is no joke. You have to love and live events. You have to want to get up in the morning, and let's be also clear, sometimes it's a very early start at some events. And you have to love that and want to do that on a regular basis again and again if you want to be successful within the events industry. Now that's not to say that every day is a very early start, not at all. What you'll generally find is that there'll be weeks of planning, and then you'll actually have live days where they will be very long hours, so you have to be willing to work that time and love it still at the end of it. And it can be very rewarding, but you need to understand it is a very intense business. It's one of the most stressful jobs that you can do. So loving what you do is really, really important. Number two on our list is being good at listening. Now, this is a really, really important skill because you're going to get instructions from clients, you're going to get instructions from stakeholders, and you have to be able to take those on board. I've seen so many event managers over the years unable or not have the skill set to be able to listen properly. Talking is one thing, but listening to people, listening to people's concerns, listening to people's issues, or listening to a client when understanding what they want from the event is so crucial. Number three on the list is, of course, being great at planning. Now, this goes without saying that most events are treated like projects. So if you have worked on projects in the past and you've got that skill set, that will put you in very good stead to being an event manager. And of course, being flexible. As I said with the previous point, you never quite know what's going to happen. So being able to be flexible, expect the unexpected. And when it actually happens, you can flex and you can make changes and you can go in a different direction. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to adapt quickly and sometimes very quickly on the fly, particularly on event days where you find that things just go wrong or people don't turn up, suppliers don't arrive. What are you going to do? It's your responsibility ultimately that the event's a success, and it's your responsibility whether that supplier didn't show up or not. So number four on my list is being able to make things happen. Now this is slightly different to the previous one because making things happen is about having energy and having enthusiasm and driving things forward. So ultimately, and this varies really in terms of the company in which you're working in. Sometimes you might be a single event manager in a very large corporate company, and sometimes you might be an event manager within an event company. In both cases, you're going to get given projects and you have to drive that project forward. You can't wait for other people to make decisions for you. You're the one that makes the decisions. You've got to drive that project forward. And if you don't, it might not happen. And that's what event managers do. We make things happen, and we make things happen spectacularly. Number five on my list is attention to detail. Now, while we do make things happen, doing the attention to detail and those little things is really important. And this is something that I learned all the way through my career. At all times, the client, the customers, the attendees of your event, they will notice the small little details. And so it's really important that you listen to what the requirements of the event are. And sometimes even you've got to go beyond what that client asks. And that doesn't mean giving them something they don't want, but exceeding their expectations and giving them the fantastic rather than just the good. Number six on my list is understanding finance. Now, this goes without saying, of course, as well, that generally speaking, events cost a lot of money. Depending on the types of events that you're working on, you may be in a position, I'd say quite an envious position, where you're given a budget to spend on an event and that's it. There's no pressure in order to sell tickets. Now, where I started, I worked in music venues, and of course there's a huge pressure to sell tickets in order to pay for the costs of the event. So understanding budgets, understanding very simple profit and loss accounts, and being able to manage finances, money coming in, money going out, is kind of really key. And keeping a handle on that and keeping a handle on your cash flow also really super critical. What tends to happen, particularly with events that are ticketed, is that there sometimes will be costs that you'll have to pay out before you'll get any of the ticket money in, and that can be a risk, particularly if you're starting as a promoter or a kind of new event planner in the scene. You have to be careful about what you spend before you have any money coming in. If you're working for a client, then of course you need to have very, very strict rules about when they'll pay you. Usually it's around 50% upfront and then 50% just before completion. But ultimately, it's your responsibility to manage the finances through that process to ensure the event is a success. Number 7 on my list is being professional and being warm. Actually, just being generally nice will get you an awful long way. But of course, professionalism is also key. And one of the things you need to understand about the events industry is that it can and does run on reputation. So if you do a good job with one client, they are likely to recommend you to another. And that can be a really good way of finding new business and finding new work in the future if you're a freelancer. Now, professionalism comes in many different forms, but of course it involves turning up on time, delivering what you say you will, being polite, being courteous, and replying to messages in a timely manner. It's a busy business, and sometimes those things are difficult, but ultimately you'll be judged on your professionalism and the way that you treat people. And so number 8 on my list is great resilience, or having resilience. And resilience can come in a number of different ways. Resilience is a really key part of being an event manager. As I've said before, you never quite know what's around the corner, or you never quite know what's going to happen at an event. So being able to take the pressure and be resilient to it is a really, really important skill. Clients can be very, very demanding. Customers can be very, very demanding, and how you behave with them and how resilient you are to their demands and the pressures that they'll put you under is another really important skill that you need as an event manager. Number 9 on the list is being innovative and embracing new technology and embracing new trends. Now, it goes without saying that keeping abreast of these things in the industry is part of your job as an event manager and a skill in itself. But being innovative and seeing what your competition's doing and perhaps exceeding that, finding new ways to wow people, finding new ways to embrace technology that helps bring people together, helps people enjoy an experience, that's all part of being a good event manager. So keeping abreast of these things and keeping an overview of what's happening in the industry and the changes in trends, again, really, really important. Finally, number 10 on my list is knowing that you can still learn. After nearly 25 years, I still work in events, and there's still things that I find I learn on every event that I do. And actually, it's part of the attractions working as event manager is that every event is so different. But knowing that you can still learn things and not being, I guess, in an arrogant position that you think you know everything is a really great skill. So that's my top 10 skills you need to be an event manager. Do you think that I included all of the skills you needed for an event manager? If not, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and perhaps include them in a future video. I hope this video has been useful to you. If it has, check out my other video on how to plan an event, and I'll see you soon.